So now we see that the real challenge um, of designing protein sequences that can be resilient to across different environmental axes. Although there's only 4 here, um, so far I only have the temperature, pH scale, ion concentration, and oxidation, but these 4 is already revealing that each have different profiles, different multipliers. The amino acids behaves in different ways to each environmental axis, that it's kind of very challenging to really design a protein sequence that can be resilient to all things, and the length of the protein sequence is also not a guarantee that it's going to be more resilient just because it has a higher length. Because we do have negative multipliers, so it's not just positive, there's negative multipliers, and for each amino acid it can be a positive or negative. And there could be some match, like ion and pH scale. It seems to have a matching amino acids multiplier, but there's still some difference, like two amino acids has a mismatch signs, but that's enough so that the correlation is down to 64%. So it's not even that high, but it is a bit strong, slightly strong, more than 50%. But as you can see, it's really, like, you can't really say that this and that. There's hardly any. It's 50% of the time, almost 50%, but usually below 50% of the time that it correlates. That's not much. So it is very challenging. Because each amino acids can mean something different for each, and there could be, I think, some that might be safe only because it doesn't have any multiplier, like in the temperature, because temperature is everything. And so there are certain amino acids that's not in the other environmental axis, so it can be safer, but only because I didn't have yet all other environmental access. But so far, just with what I have, those are the safest one, the ones in which there's no other that's not in the other environmental access. So yes, it is quite tricky, it is challenging, because amino acids can be different for each, can mean differently for each environment, interacts differently at different environments.